Hello, everyone. We're skipping Gen 3 altogether and going right to Gen 4. It's Pokemon Platinum. I recorded this one when I usually don't do the Pokemon games per se because, funny story, I was actually Emil's alternate for his run through of the game on his channel. So I basically had to play it in tandem with him, but since I was doing that, I'm like, I'll just record it while I'm at it.
Oh boy. That's this game is if you're not familiar with BrainScratch lore, this game is a tad infamous around this part
Well, for
for
you anyway.
well, not just for me because I feel like none of us really like it all that
I mean,
that much.
I like it. I like it enough.
I
It's
haven't played it, so I don't really have an
I,
opinion.
well, it's like the most middle of the road Pokemon generation for me.
it's so yeah, it's I don't like this game particularly, and some people are bitter about that because I
Wow.
was an asshole
Uh,
about it when I was like 19 years old.
what
So
is
uh,
that male Pokemon trainer design even supposed to be?
I don't.
Yeah, the male trainer design always kind of sucks.
Well, it's usually kind of fine. Like, I'll even take the Gen 3 one with the weird hat that looks like hair, but what is this? Why?
It's just also DS sucks for videos because of shit like this where nothing happens on the top screen, but the bottom screen is doing stuff. So you got weird.
It's such a bad resolution. You don't want to blow it up because it will look like ass.
Yeah, but you need to have the top screen be the primary screen because that's where 90% of the action is on. So, yeah, I am not sad to not have to
Be
do
done with
too
DS
much.
stuff.
Well, I mean, there's still a couple of DS games I would like to do at some point, but I don't look forward to having to edit them. I'll
The
just put it like
the
at
DS and
that.
3DS both had a lot of good games on it, which irritates me because I can't stand to play anything on the goddamn things.
The DS is like is the 3DS, if we count backwards compatibility, is probably my favorite console of all time. I would say just between the downloadable stuff, the DS stuff, the virtual console stuff available. It's just got an insanely good library.
Library.
And
Yeah.
I growing up on Pokemon, I'm just used to
It's
handheld
kinda
games,
weird.
really.
With the 3DS up until Sword and Shield comes out, you can play some version of every generation on it.
It's kind of
Yeah.
weird. I keep my Nintendo consoles around chiefly to play previous generation stuff. Like, I'll keep the Wii around to play GameCube stuff. I'll keep the Game Boy. No, I'll keep the DS and the GameCube around to play Game Boy Advance stuff. And I'll keep the 3DS around to play DS and 3DS stuff.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Oh boy, it's the best partner in the series, Barry. Oh my
Barry is
gosh.
great. He's the only thing
Barry,
I
you
know
mean
about this
not
game. I love him.
not Barry? You mean Spaz? He runs around and just is loud all the time.
Oh, you got this. You got this part banned in Europe. Sorry, Europe. Because apparently that means something different over there or something.
does?
Yeah, because oh wait, no. You know what? I'm thinking. Well, it might be because spastic was something that they said in Mario Party 8, I think at one point, and they had to change the dialogue in a later disc release because people got upset about it because it's
If so, I am terribly sorry. That's just not what it means here.
yep. So
So
how dare you not know what an offensive slurs are in a country you don't live in? Gosh.
I don't even think it's that. It's just
Yeah,
so if that is the case, terribly sorry. I did not know that.
it's fine.
There's some interesting word things going on as far as that goes in Europe. Like,
Oh,
I'm pretty
they-
sure you couldn't have.
Because
I don't.
just for the record of European users, Spaz here just means a very hyperactive person who just kind of won't stop moving around.
It's like,
Okay, so I haven't played Platinum specifically, and God knows how long. I didn't remember that they changed the TV program because in Diamond and Pearl they bring up the Red Gyarados, which was a neat little fan service kind of moment. But I guess they just dropped that in this version for some
No,
reason.
when the Wii was the current Nintendo console.
Oh boy, man. So
I ran a poll for this game when I was starting to record it, so that's why it's a female trainer. I am also doing an Evolutions team because that's what they voted for as well.
what's the poor evolution that gets the shaft?
Glaceon, because you don't get it until right before the 7th gym, and it'd be way too late to be useful at that point.
Okay, that's fair. And Vaporeon can learn Ice Attacks anyway, so it's not like it's that useful anyhow. So I know that people will be... I'm going to try my best to be constructive here, but there's just a lot of stuff about Gen 4 in general that rubbed me the wrong way. And one thing that a lot of people bring up is that, oh, Diamond and Pearl have problems, but Platinum fixes all of them. And I don't really inherently agree with that sentiment.
It fixes the engine behind the scenes stuff a lot.
Yeah, it certainly does fix a lot of stuff. I'm not going to say that it's not an improvement, but I feel like the game has a lot of design problems that are inherent to the game design itself, which we'll get into as we play the game a bit more. And without like completely basically redoing the whole map and a lot of the different structure behind the game, you can't really fix that. So it's a band-aid, which helps, but it doesn't fix most of the main problems I have with it.
Yeah,
you know?
not saying the game's perfect. I just think that Platinum fixes the main one of that. It just runs better.
You're not walking through molasses anymore, which is one of the big things, because
I feel like this is a cycle that's happened with almost every generation of Pokemon.
Sadly, it's become a bad problem with them, where the first generation for a system just runs like absolute shit.
Well, you see, yeah, that's true. That's been true for the past couple of gens, but you know what? Gen 3 has a lot of issues, but the actual game engine itself is pretty good. Things run fast. It looks pretty nice for the system. You know, Gen 3 design-wise has problems, but technically I think it's a pretty solid
On a technical level, it's perfectly fine, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, except for the sound chip, but, you know.
That's not the game's fault, that's the GBA's fault.
That's true. But yeah, oh man, having played so much Black and White, sometimes it's a little bit rough to go back and look at
Black and White is so much better than Gen 4 in basically every way.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, because as much as I love Gen 5, and it being, you know, depending on my mood, it being my favorite Pokemon generation, it kind of also is the starting place for many of the problems that Gen 6 and 7 would have. The only difference is that Black and White is a polished game, and also, you know, was doing something different and breaking up the status quo for Pokemon at the time, so it gets away with that kind of stuff, you know?
And despite cutting a lot of things, it made up for it by being excellent in others.
Yeah. I mean, it didn't really end up cutting all that much. Like, I mean...
It's mostly the Battle Frontier stuff and post-game, mostly.
Yeah, but I feel like there were other things in Black... I mean, Black and White's a game we're going to have to do one day. But I felt like there was, like, with the White Forest and the Black Tower, especially, there was a lot of stuff that made up for the, you know, the lack of a... The battle subway is pretty lame, I will give you that, but...
I get it. The designs are so hat heavy and stuff because they live in a snowy town, right?
Yeah, so it's supposed to be...
This is based off the northern island of Japan / Hokkaido.
Okay,
yeah.
So the climate around here is colder in general, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, compared to Gen 3, which was based off of like Okinawa in the southern part of Japan, which was much more tropical.
Right,
yeah,
right.
and,
The regions that they were doing for Pokemon games up until this point were mostly Japanese regions, and then from Black and White onward, they started doing regions in other parts of the world. You know, I once saw someone saying, "Hey, we have enough regions to fill like an entire world now. We should stop." But I'm like, no, the world ain't that small. Sorry.
I feel, you know what? Gen 2 had the problem of being too good of a sequel, because you know what? Just for clarification for people watching this in the future, this is being recorded during the midst, MIDST. I don't know how you pronounce that. Pokemon Sword and Shield is coming out in a couple of months, and the fan base is, to put it mildly, in an uproar, you know, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. And, you know, a lot of that comes from Pokemon having severely high expectations surrounding it and I feel like a lot of that comes back to just Pokemon Gold and Silver being such excellent sequels to the original game that they set the bar so high. And, it's to the point where people are still like, oh man, I want the 19 region game. That's never going to happen. And that expectation is still there for some people because the shock of going back to Kanto after Johto was done left such a huge impact with so many people, So, I feel like that's kind of why so many people want things like, oh, I want to go back to old regions again, even though it's not going to be as interesting, especially when you have... Because if you did have the 8-region game, then all 8 of those regions would be much more shallow than they are in their initial game, Like,
Yeah,
running
probably.
shoes. Running shoes.
Okay,
Running shoes.
Okay, they thankfully give it to you...
Right at the start.
Did
Yeah.
I feel like they gave them to you much later in Diamond and Pearl. I haven't played it.
I do not recall.
Yeah, I don't go back to play this ever, so the details will be fuzzy for me. But there are, you get they definitely sped up the opening, which was one of the things about the original the original version that was a little bit slow, because early on in the game, you have to, go through a lot of dialogue and then go up here to the lake and whatnot, and then you have your first fight with like a wild Starly, I think it is.
Something like that.
Yeah, so they definitely did a better job in Platinum. I will give credit where credit's due at fixing some of the pacing issues. I still feel like the pacing is not great, but they definitely
the pacing is the pacing is very weird in this game.
Yeah, they definitely did go out of their way to try to improve it, though, which, again, credit where credit is due.
It's the best way to play Gen 4, at least until they inevitably make a remake of this as well.
Well, you see, I'm so torn on the idea of a Gen 4 remake because, again, like, the idea of being able to do it again and fix some of the problems is certainly interesting, but on the other hand... I also, like I said earlier, I feel like they'd have to completely like redo the map and change so much in order for it to be a remake that it would be basically a different game.
If they do a Gen 4 remake at this point, it's going to be like a console-designed Switch game, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
You would think so.
So that there's going to be a lot to redo as far as that goes, just inherently as part of the project.
Yeah, but it's just the map in this game, I think, is probably my least favorite overworld in any Pokemon game.
I'd still say it's Hoenn.
Hoenn?
I thought Hoenn was okay. I mean, it was no Johto, but...
My big problem with I'm pretty sure a lot of people have probably watched Tamashi Hiroka's Gen 4 review video, and she does a much better job explaining my issues than I do. But the big problem for me is Mount Coronet is just the worst, and I hate it.
Oh no, this map definitely has issues. I just think Hoenn's is even worse.
The thing about Hoenn that I do like, though, is that aside from a couple of places, you can get pretty much anywhere without too much trouble by mid-end game. Like, you don't need to have Fly unless if you want to go to, like, Fall Arbor Town. That's the one with all the soot and stuff, right?
Yeah.
No, that's Sootopolis. Sorry, my bad. Like, unless if you want to go somewhere like there or the water route. Like, I mean, the water routes, is a meme in and of itself. But other than that, the area is actually designed to allow you to loop around a couple of good times, which is more convenient. It's not really possible to walk from place to place as easily in this game because for so many towns, Mount Coronet is right in the middle, and you can't go. As far as I can remember, you're never really allowed to go explore all of Mount Coronet from anywhere. There's like 2 sides of it or something like that. It's so hard to explain. And it just makes it tedious to try to get from place to place unless if you have Fly, pretty much, which means that you're basically either wasting a slot or going in and out of the...
That doesn't bother me too much because I'm kind of doing that anyway to get where I need to go for Fly.
Yeah, but it's just, I feel like, it's kind of the nitpicks add up to be more than the sum of their parts for me is the thing. And they do, like, each individual thing isn't that bad. Like, I don't mind needing to go. Like, I wouldn't mind inherently if, like, oh, saving takes forever. If it was, like, just that one thing, it would be, like, just that one nitpick. But, oh, saving takes forever. And, oh, going into the PC box takes so much time. And, oh, I need to go into the PC box constantly in order to get my HM slaves. And, oh, and stuff adds up a lot, and it makes what seem like a bunch of small problems add up to be more than...
That's me with all the problems with Hoen's map. It's
Yeah.
like if it's one thing, it would be fine, but you have to make this loop to get to where you need to go, and then you need to make the loop again because you got to go through the water routes that you just drove over last time, and then look, you have to make another loop around the main dry land area to get to the next gym, which is really annoying.
What I just want to know is why, now that we have 3D environments and shit, why in the name of muffins are we still stuck with all this square pixel crap for land design? I mean, isn't the point of hybrid 3D environments sprite-based characters to make more complex environments in the first place?
Yeah, you see, it kind of felt like with the Gen 4 games that they didn't want to use 3D models at all. They just kind of wanted to stay with the same sprite-based formula, but they kind of felt obligated to use polygons in certain places because you could do that. So
it's just,
they were in like a weird half step here.
Yeah,
and that's why I like Gen 5 visually so much more better.
It's kind of like here it looks like they're just using 3D graphics because it's on the DS and the DS was pushing 3D graphics. But since we already covered that the original release of this generation ran like crap, that just seems like a bad idea to me.